So yesterday at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, the White House in Washington, D.C., President Donald J. Trump, POTUS 47, welcomed his Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, and brass from the United States Air Force, including the Chief of Staff, David Alvin. You're going to hear from him, as well as POTUS 47 and Hegseth, in just a moment. So they were at the White House to introduce this bad boy to America. The latest and greatest in air superiority developed by Boeing. This right here, the F-47, was developed for the Air Force under what's called the Next Generation Air Dominance Program. It's intended to be the successor to this guy right here, this badass that had one hell of a run, the F-22 Raptor. Now, Air Force officials said experimental tests have been flown since 2020, and they're hoping to have the F-47 up in the clouds and flying regularly and defending America by the end of the decade. President Trump yesterday said, hopefully sooner than later, maybe in a couple of years from now before his term ends in 2028. We'll see. Meanwhile, the F-47, well, in a roundabout way, it's been around for quite some time. However, it's not the only vehicle produced as an F-47, not to be confused with this beauty right here. The only vehicle I've ever seen that looks good in purple. How cool is that? The 1947 Fraser Standard F-47. Meanwhile, this Sanford and Son look-alike, I always wanted a classic pickup like this. Maybe someday. This is the 1950 Ford F-47 pickup. Now, the F-47 fighter jet has quite the lineage. Take a look at this. These pictures brought to you by the Hawaii Air National Guard, the 199th Fighter Squadron flew the Republic F-47 Thunderbolt from 1947 through 54. Originally known as the P-47 P-4 Pursuit, the aircraft were redesigned F-47 shortly after the end of World War II. The F-47s were affectionately known or called Jugs. They weighed 8 tons. And were nimble and cat-like and were very successful in World War II. Now, the modern-day F-47 looks like something that Hollywood would design maybe for the Batman series. Sleek, dynamic-looking, dare I say, sexy. And here to talk about the historical roots of the fighter jets, and this being, again, the first 6th-generation fighter jet with the F-47, it is Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth.
We've had the F-15, we had the F-16, the F-18, the F-22, the F-35. Now we have the F-47, which sends a very direct, clear message to our allies that we're not going anywhere, and to our enemies that we will be able to project power around the globe unimpeded.
Amen to that. And we've got superiority in the air. There's absolutely no doubt about it. Right now we have it. But it's going to be a game changer when this guy is rolled out in the next few years, as you hear from Secretary Hegseth. Now, here to talk a little bit more about the F-47, as POTUS 47 himself. And by the way, of course, the creepy rad left activist rag known as the New York Times said that Trump named it to be named after his 47th term as president. And it was all his idea. However, Trump will expound upon that as we listen to the Commander-in-Chief.
But we're here for a reason today that is very exciting, and I'm thrilled to announce that At my direction, the United States Air Force is moving forward with the world's first sixth-generation fighter jet. Number sixth generation. Nothing in the world comes even close to it. And it'll be known as the F-47. The generals picked a title. And it's a beautiful number, F-47. It's something the likes of which nobody has seen before in terms of all of the attributes of a fighter jet. There's never been anything even close to it, from speed to maneuverability to what it can have to payload.
And again, that's the Commander-in-Chief, Donald J. Trump. As he alluded to, the generals named it. It's a great coincidence. I love it. F-47. Here are some key takeaways or bells and whistles. Let me show you them, the features on this fighter jet. And they're brought to you, the first two, by nextbigfuture.com as well as msn.com. Got to give credit where credit's due. Number one, as I mentioned, Boeing selected to develop the F-47, a next-generation stealth fighter, making a significant advancement in military aviation technology. Second, I mentioned this as well. I alluded to it. The new aircraft is part of the Next Generation Air Dominance Program, aiming to enhance air superiority and integrate advanced combat drones. The future is here now. Big stuff. Incredible advancements. And lastly, with a projected flight time before 2029, the F-47 is expected to be a more cost-effective alternative to existing fighter jets, promising improved capabilities for the U.S. military. So pretty amazing what's being developed here. And it's good to see our U.S. tax dollars going to a project like this. Lastly, I want you to take a look and listen to the Chief of Staff of the United States Air Force in talking about the F-47. And here he is, David Alvin.
We say as our mission in the United States Air Force is to fly, fight, and win air power anytime, anywhere. If you want to go anywhere, you have to have a platform that gets you anywhere. This provides the President options from the very one end, which is a quick response, and then we can get right back into fighting stance without having to deploy troops that are going to take maybe months and cost more lives. We can be back in fighting stance, and maybe we restore that deterrence, all the way to decisive victory as part of a joint force that is the most lethal and capable military ever known in history. That's what we provide now, and this allows us to provide it into the future. It's more deterrence, more capability. It's what peace through strength looks like into the future, Mr. President. And so we're very proud to do that. And all we can say is, on behalf of the United States Air Force, let's deliver.
Absolutely. Rock and roll time, as you hear from the Chief of Staff from the U.S. Air Force. Again, that's David Alvin, the way I interpreted what he just said. In short, God forbid there's an escalation of conflict, you can save thousands upon thousands of boots on the ground and potentially lives by flying this one-man wrecking crew that has the ability with the unmanned drones to become a squadron that can take care of the enemy effectively, quickly, with unscaled versatility. So, in short, the F-47 is the newest MVP to be in America's arsenal.